Like I think the saddest thing would be my dream dying out because of what I did instead of it being some other factor that's out of my control. You know, like I had full control of what I can achieve and what I could go for, and I chose strongly. That kind of thing.
In the final year of my law exams, okay, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He's becoming very skinny and lost a lot of weight. So they told us, but the way they made it sound as if like, okay, things are gonna be okay, it's gonna get better. But then like he was only able to survive for the next 5 months, yeah. And it's very heartbreaking to see like them, it's like their body is just losing life, and it's like, that was like one of the biggest challenges in my life, to be honest. I lost my dad in the middle of my law exams, my final year, and it's like purely exam based, right? And I couldn't even attend the cremation because the cremation was my final paper. Yeah. And you know the Chinese tradition where the family needs to stay over at the funeral parlor. I actually had to study in the funeral parlor. At least it's quiet though, you know. You start to realize a lot of things, that life is so short to do what you do not have passion in, or you just, or to do something you just don't feel anything for, like not inspired, you know. Basically every year, like every summer I go somewhere. Sometimes I just go solo travel also. I didn't have a friend with me, I just go solo. For me, like traveling was something that inspired me. And when I lost my dad, you know, like you just feel depressed and all of that. And you just really feel really low in life though. And plus, I wasn't really in the best mental state before that already. And that was like, I just hit rock bottom.
I think something changed when I decided to fully commit to this. Because I started my career in college, I was doing it part-time, right? Then I realized that I'm learning a lot of things that college or schools in general cannot teach me. And I feel like at that point of time, I was building something that can last me for quite a while. So I decided, you know what, I want to do this full-time, or hopefully someday I can do it full-time. And I told my mom, I told my mom that I don't want to continue masters. The initial plan was I finish my degree, I go for masters. I think that those 2 years were probably like a challenge as a student per se. So I was trying to do well in studies, trying to do well in my work, and convince my parents that this is the right thing for me lah. My mom's a teacher. So she wanted me to have a stable income, right? So she would always ask me to teach tuition, primarily English, or she would want me to be a teacher. So, you know, I get stable income, which makes sense, but I don't want that. I wanted to do gaming fully. But I always say that even though there were objections early on, they still tuned into my show, even though they have no idea what I was doing. Yeah, and then I think one of the best moments was when they visited one of my events. Well, not one of my events, but one of the events that I was casting for. When I first started, I don't think I'm in the best state either, because it's like college, right? Then I was a guy who couldn't, like, I don't like being alone. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's more like I want a companion, right? So I was constantly like getting in and out of relationships, which is something I'm not really proud of. I wish I didn't care too much about what people think, because I was, you know, like when you're in that kind of situation, you are trying to become what other people want you to become, right? So I was trying to be what my ex-partners want me to be, and it was not the way to go lah, because you know, you end up losing yourself, and it was a pretty bad period for me. I think at that point of time, it was like my rock bottom, and I had very bad thoughts lah. A friend came to me and he gave me like this very harsh pep talk. He was like, dude, you have to stop being this. You know, you're not getting, like, some opportunities are slipping by because of how you portray yourself. You know, you need to tone down on this and that. And it made me realize that maybe he's right lah. I think at one point when you achieve success and you feel like you deserve more, and that's where it gets to your head lah. And I think it really got to my head, and I didn't properly admit that until yesterday. My friend was like, I think you're too cocky. This is like, the doors are closing. Like if you don't, clean up your act, you will probably never get on the boat. The ship is gonna sail and you'll probably never be there. Then I think that friend told me something really reassuring. I would say he basically said that that's the thing. If it's already too late, I wouldn't even be talking to you. So maybe there's a chance, but I don't have much time.
I don't think anything is too late.
Yeah, I guess I'm just worried about my career growth, right? Because I'm chasing after something. I'm chasing after. I have a goal that I want to achieve. But the thing is, the obstacles aren't like other people or like my skills or whatnot. Or that's what I like to think it is. But what was made clear yesterday was that the only thing stopping myself is how I am as a person. Like people look at me and be like, I think this guy is too full of himself. I think this guy is not someone that we want to represent us and our community. I think the one thing that I always had problem with is communicating with people. I always assume people know what I want, or I always assume that my message is properly relayed. And coincidentally, my partner is someone who is very literal. So I cannot assume. I have to say it literally. That really made me a better person lah. I basically messed up lah, and it went public. Obviously, for someone who's in the public limelight, it is not good at all when someone exposes you for your wrongdoings. But now with so many people looking and it being such a small bubble, one wrong thing you do is going to be imprinted in a lot of people's minds. And I think if they use it against me, then that's on me lah. So sometimes I just wonder if that is going to be what kills everything for me. I think the saddest thing would be my dream dying out because of what I did instead of it being some other factors that's out of my control. Like I had full control of what I can achieve and what I could go for, and I chose strongly. That kind of thing.
So, I'm not that young also, and I recently got out of a relationship, a very toxic and verbally abusive relationship. And I just can't believe I made myself go through that. It's like I can't believe how a person can treat his girlfriend that way. Basically, they call it like narcissistic abuse. They will project, they will blame, they will gaslight you. Before that, I got pretty emotional. I started talking out about how he was treating me, and then his friends started like defending me. And then he came in the call and said like, she's a bitch, she's a liar, and she's a drama queen. I'm like, how am I lying if like I'm just talking about how you treat me? He has a lot of issues, and I wanted to help him with that. But it's like you can only do so much to help a person. If they want to change, they have to put an effort to change also.
Okay, I think it's time for me to admit it. I was once that person. I was once that ex. I mean, maybe not as extreme, but I also have a lot of problems with my attitude, my temper. I have problems with my temper back then. Because at that point, I had like irregular sleeping hours. Stay up at like 6 a.m. just to talk to this person. I would go out of my way. I would do a lot of things that literally goes against my morals. Like things that I swore that I would never do. I broke all of that. Sometimes even the happiest guys can have their down moments, and I think that's where it really comes down to like you can only do so much. Like Rachel said, you can only do so much for someone, and the person has to help themselves find a release, I guess, other than being physical with people and things. Find a release that, I don't know, like play games, music, draw, go out for a walk, sleep the whole day, just something to slow down. I think some of us have been through that period where you do something, it upsets you and you do it more. It's like doing drugs like that. Like you play games, you lose, you play more. just to find that one moment that probably never comes, you know. Yeah, just do things that brings you out of the cycle. Like if you are upset from playing games, just don't play games, you know. If you're upset from like solving a math equation, just stop for a while. I guess that's the best way to do it.
But at first my goal was like, okay, I want to find a partner, blah blah blah. Basically just do any activities with a partner. It feels good to do it with someone. But like now the breakup, I guess like it goes back to trying to be happy with yourself again and focus on yourself. But I still can't stop thinking about how I'm still growing so much older. You feel the pressure. Yeah. Especially like, you know, how at a certain age you can't really like give birth to children anymore, or like that stigma or that when you're 30 and not married, it's like you're gonna be single forever or something. Yeah, the thing is like these thoughts are always gonna come in your mind. It's like how you can tell yourself, like, no, stop it, don't think of it that way.
It's natural.
Yeah. Especially when you're alone and during like lockdown, right? You tend to like criticize yourself so freaking much. Oh my god, what happened to my ass? Sit down too long.
I don't know, relationship-wise, I actually don't have advice. I think I'm the worst person to give advice on that, considering how I have like the worst track record. I don't know. I always tell myself go with the flow, I guess.
For me, it's like don't ignore the red flags.
Yeah, just
Don't ignore the red flags.
I mean, it's like
your partner should respect your boundaries.
yeah.
And even when you try over and over to talk about your boundaries and he doesn't respect it, then you should know that you should end it there.
I think right now, because we live in this era where it's so easy to know new people, some people get together like very fast, right? And then as you are going through the whole process of dating, you start to realize more and more about the person you're with. You know, it's like when you start, they start showing a side where they are not on their best, they're not putting out their best form, they're not dressing up anymore, and that kind of thing, their attitude, how they look at things. That's where the struggle begins lah. Like, you have to compromise, or either you choose to leave because it's incompatible. You start to see what for who they really are, I guess.
Always respect yourself. Know what kind of respect you deserve. And don't ever let anyone step on you. Okay, when people are toxic, it's basically they are unhappy people and they just want to make other people unhappy too. So by giving them a reaction, you're kind of like feeding their toxicity, and it's just gonna be a to and fro of words that's gonna be full of toxicity, right? Actually, the best way is what I read online from. I watch a lot of videos and like guides. And the best way to deal with this is actually just to walk away, just cut off that conversation.
If you do something wrong, just acknowledge it lah.
Yeah.
Admittance is the first step. Like if you know you messed up, just swallow your pride and say that I messed up. I guess that's the hardest thing. Like you will feel very bad about yourself. Like why did you feel very what do you call 不服啊 in Mandarin they say, like you don't want to accept the fact that you are feeling that way. You know, you don't want to accept the fact that you are wrong. Like some people, they purposely start a fight, and then when they get arrested, they be like, no, I didn't start the fight, you know, it's not me. Something like that. You would feel that way. But it's something that you have to deal with lah. And I would just quote my friend what my friend said. If you are someone with these kind of emotions, you either control it or you find some place that don't mind.